it's one of those deals that just be where your feet are and work your tail off and keep your head down and keep going, and good stuff happens. I've never said, hey, in 5 years I'm going to be here, in 10 years I'm going to be there.
614 Headsets is proud to be sponsored by Fundraising University Ohio. Fundraising University Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach their fundraising goals. Fundraising University Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. Brent Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you strategize and execute your fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent at the letter B Maxwell at fundraising.net or 740-501-8946 to learn how you can get started with fundraising.
It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
But eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's ahead! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's ahead!
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to 614 Headsets. We're your stop where we say strategy meets story. We're 3 high school football coaches who are committed to bring you great football content that's both educational and entertaining. It's been an awesome week of football around Columbus, right? It's showcase week. We just finished ours, so we're day 2 of college showcases. There's one more day tomorrow with a lot of the Westerville and Olentangy schools. It's been a great week of football. We've got a great guest. Can't wait for you to hear who he is, about his background, and just get into what's some of the top talent we're seeing as we get into talking about Ohio's finest. But Ryan, man, maybe give us a rundown, man. How was your showcase? How's your week? What's up?
Life's been good, man. Showcase was great. I think that was our best one by far, the most well-attended one. It was wet out there. We got a little heat from some of the coaches that our grass was a little long, but that's all right.
I heard today. I didn't mention it, but there was a comment about
Which one?
to mow the grass.
Who was it?
I'm not going to say. I'm not going to throw him under the bus.
Hey, if it's Karras from Toledo, he better bring his mower down then.
I'm not gonna throw the man under the bus.
Or Manny. It was either Manilak or Bruni too. Those 3 gave it to me.
I don't know.
But either way, our guys look good, right? I think that day's just so fun. And I think it's so unique for our kids to be able to go out there, no matter what the conditions look like, no matter what it is out there, everybody's out there to earn a scholarship. And I tell our kids, this is the most non-selfish game. And I think it's the biggest team game in the entire world. But we do have one day that it's a selfish day. And I think that combine day it's okay. And like I told our kids, is to be about you and go to work. Like it's a combine day for you. Yeah, we want all of our team to get looks and look good, but really it's for you, right? As a person, it's you to achieve your goals. And I told our kids it's okay to be selfish that day, right? Go say hi to the college coaches. Make sure you're up in their face talking to them, and make sure that you're doing all the right things, the little things right. And it's about you on that day. So it was a great day.
It is fun, man. And I like seeing, all the coaches too. I like seeing our kids perform well and be in that moment and be in a pressure situation. That's the thing about being a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid. That's a pressure situation. You know what I mean? I think that's good. You see how people respond. And seeing Coach Cordell, seeing Manilak, Bruni, seeing all those, and Plumlee and all those different guys. It's cool, like the relationships over the years we've started to develop with all those guys. They continue to listen to us, just bumping them and talk to them. It is awesome seeing everybody. And our kids did great. And I know I'm hard on Donovan, right? And he's done a great job this year. I thought our O-line did really good today. This is Donovan's best offseason so far. Like
what's turned this dude want from Donnie?
Time out. I don't want anything. I throw a lot. I'm a tough guy. You know what I mean? And I throw a lot of shade at Donovan, and probably coaching O-line for me is probably the worst position to try to coach for, because that's obviously where I'm going to have the biggest thumbprint on and watching and being critical of. So he's done a good job. He's been working every week, and I thought his guys looked really good. Donovan, man, keep up the great work. You're doing good. That's the last compliment you're going to get from me in a while.
Yeah, proud son. I'm about to cry right now.
No, not that.
Dude, to get emotional.
But just, hey, man, I tried. Hey, the longer you coach, I honestly do try to be like, I'm going to run our side of the ball as great as I can, creating a family atmosphere, appreciate my coaches, giving them extras as much as I can to what I can do, because it's high school football. We're not getting rich off of it. So hopefully we create an environment people want to be in and stay in. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Donovan, you suck. How's your week?
Yeah, I know. It's okay. I'm still drying out from today.
Donnie, can you talk to the people about these Chinese pills that you're taking?
Listen,
So, little backstory. Donovan sends us this picture of his work desk, and he's got these supplement pills there. And what are these Chinese herbal supplements you're taking?
They are a savior for allergy season. This week hasn't been so bad with the rain, but I take a Zyrtec every morning, and I take these, and they're like essential oils. It's got a little lemongrass in there.
But where did you find like this Chinese supplement at? Like, where do you go to the holistic doctor?
Dude, I don't know. I've been taking those since I was like a teenager.
Dude is so rich. Look, my mom's never buying me essential oils when I was growing up. You better believe I'm only getting what was prescribed from the doctor under our insurance.
I would dive in right now, but I'm gonna stay up here for one night where I gave Donovan a lot of praise.
All right, yeah. Let's move on. Let's move on.
If you have allergies, you can come see me later. They work.
I don't want to
talk to us, Donnie. What are we getting into on episode 79 here?
We got a great episode for episode 79 with Coach Tudryn, going over just a little bit, obviously, of the recent UA camp combine series here in Columbus. His deep dive into some of the top performers, some under the radar competitors that he had there, and breaking down what he saw and what he liked, going through his journey a little bit. It's a very unique coaching journey that encompasses pretty much all aspects of the game outside of an NFL coaching career. He's hit a lot of those marks and has some great insights from that. And then really going into his main line of work, which is with the UC report, which I think you all find very interesting when it comes to the evaluation, the recruiting, the kind of aspects of today's recruiting and college coaches and how it's used. So we got a great episode with Coach Tudryn for you guys to listen to or watch, however you may find it on your platforms.
You know what time it is. It's time for that Max Effort Locker Rocker, where we're here to juice you up, just like Max Effort Muscle. Football coaches, listen up. You spend hours in the weight room and on the field pushing your athletes to be their absolute best. But are they fueling their bodies with the right supplements to maximize performance and recovery? Max Effort Muscle provides safe, trusted, and effective supplements designed specifically for athletes, trusted by Division I strength coaches and top college programs across the country. Their lineup includes everything your team needs to train harder, recover faster, and perform at their peak, from whey protein, amino recovery, creatine monohydrate, and NDR hydrate.
Listen, everybody knows football is won in the trenches. Don't let poor nutrition be the weak link in your program. Reach out to them today and get your team on Max Effort Muscle. They work with any team, any size, any budget. Visit maxeffortmuscle.com and email Tyler Treadway. His email is treadway@maxeffortmuscle.com to learn more about team pricing, partnerships, and get a custom package made for your team for as low as $250.
Donovan, what we got, man?
Listen, so I think this whole week, and again, a little bit tomorrow, it'll be today when this comes out for everybody. Everybody's had their pro days around town. Everybody's had their combine days.
Just come out Thursday.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying, whatever. Everybody's had their pro days by the time this comes out, or wrapping it up. And I think there's two sides to this. And I think this year, I saw the other side, and Stout said, like, the group up front, I thought had a good day today. And that only got me more excited for what we can keep building in the summer and what we can build to. And by the time it's week 1 and hopefully all the way to week 15, 16, but that's one side of it. But the flip side that I'm sure a lot of coaches are seeing, which is what I felt last year, was a little bit of worry, a little bit of anxiety of like, all right, I've been working with my kids in the dark, in the winter, in a crowded weight room, in a hallway, you know, on the field, if you're lucky, since January, February, right? And so you've seen them in controlled environments, a little quieter, doing some drills. Now you see them compete, and there's one side of it goes really well, or there's the other side where they struggle. And I think this message is for that coach that saw their group or saw their unit or saw a person they were high on struggle a little bit, because I think I was in that same aspect last year as a group that we didn't know too much yet about our offensive line, and that combine day brought up some feelings of anxiety and what's going to happen next. And so saw this quote today It's anonymous quote, but it's still a good one nonetheless. Said, excellence is never an accident, it is a result of high intention, sincere effort, intelligent direction, skillful execution, and the vision to see obstacles as opportunities. Use whatever happened today, good or bad or indifferent, for your unit, for your team, for a side of the ball. Use that as a vision for you to be able to see that obstacle or that opportunity as an opportunity itself. If you had a day and you're anxious about it as a coach or a program, use that opportunity to cement in these last 4 months. I said to the group today, this is the last push from everybody, last heavy push of prep and development before the season starts. Because you get in the season, yeah, guys get better, but this is the last push. So whatever happened in your pro days this week, your combines, use that and push forward those last 4 months before the season hits to see that vision and to create an opportunity.
Go crush it. Let's get into this, man. Ohio's finest. Let's go.
Excited for this episode, man. We get to kick this one off with Coach Tudryn from the UC Report. I got to make the connection while we were at the Under Armour All-American Combine Camp Series, and it was awesome. I got to work the 40 with them, and then I finally mentioned some at the last day. Hey, we need to get you on the podcast to talk about the guys that stood out and a lot about his journey. And I'll let him speak more about that, but excited for this episode. We're going to get rolling here. Coach, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got to where you're at.
Man, I'm blessed. I was a coach's son. My dad was a high school coach for 40 years. Played safety at UMass, got done, and coached D3 ball at Curry College in Boston, then 2 years at American International in Springfield, Mass. at D2 level, and then tried to find a college job like a lot of young guys do and couldn't find one. So I decided to move down to Florida and coached high school football in some unique places. Immokalee, Florida. Edgerrin James had just left. We had some really good football players right off of Lake Okeechobee. And then I thought I was the smartest coach in the world and could be the next head coach that was going to change the world, and took a head job in Miami at a school that had 4,600 kids in it. And we were a hell of a baseball school. And we had in our conference, we had goals like Frank Gore and Elvis Dumerville, Antrell Roll, Roscoe Parrish, Andre Johnson. And I go through dozens of guys that were borderline Hall of Famers, if not in the Hall of Fame. And I was playing with a lot of tough kids that didn't go to the NFL. I learned real quick that players were more important than plays. And my dad was a high school coach, retired in Mass, moved down to Florida, was his DC over in Naples at a new school at Gulf Coast High School. And then found a new job up at Carborough High School in North Carolina, just outside of Chapel Hill. Small, tiny little school, 2A school. And we built something pretty good there. And I ended up going to the state championship with a brand new program after a couple seasons, and got the blessing to get a job at the University of North Carolina. It's just on a whim and relationships. The offensive line coach, Chris Kapilovic, came into our office one day and was just doing a normal recruiting trip, and chopped it up with him. His son was on my little league team the next day. They had just moved into town, and we hit off a relationship. And a year later, I'm on their staff. And it worked out great because then one of the guys on that staff got a job at UMass. I went up there for 3 seasons, coached DBs. I met a great friend who was the defensive coordinator at Boston College, and hired me after we got let go at UMass. So I spent 2 seasons at BC. And then I started to get exhausted with the portal and the landscape of college football, to be completely honest with you, based on my background being a high school coach guy and what I believe in what high school football teaches. And I had an opportunity through a teammate of mine at UMass who started the UC Report, give or take 10 years ago. And he approached me mid-season, give or take, and said, hey, I might have an opportunity. Would you be interested? And at the time, I was like, I don't know. I mean, this thing, once you're in, you want to stay in. And as the season went on, I think it was a smart idea for me to change hats, if you will. And it was a great decision. I'm having a blast doing this. I get to see some of the best players in the country, coach an inside rundown at the Under Armour All-American game with some of the best players in the country, and get to scratch that itch from a football side of it. And at the same time, I get to evaluate really good football players. So it's a lot of fun.
I love it.
That's an interesting story, and I'm excited to dive in to find more out about the UC Report and get to pick your brain a little bit about those different roles. And that's a lot of different football. You think about being at high school, college, all over. And I think that helps you evaluate talent a lot, really, and give honest opinion to guys. That's what I said. You go to those camps, and just my experience of being at D1 and then D2, you get to see a little bit of the difference. And so it really shapes your perspective and how you kind of project people. You know what I mean?
That's exactly right.
Coaches probably seen even more, but I can't imagine a Miami Florida football night on a Friday night. Man, the talent and the speed, that would just be out of control. It would be it'd be an experience. And I'm sure you got some great memories of that. So he
Got a
just
lot of
listed
really
off,
good stories.
he listed off like all these NFL guys. And I'm like, holy cow, man.
Yeah.
Like, good luck trying to figure out all that, right?
That was just like the short list of the dudes.
Yeah.
The names everybody
Yeah.
knows. There's a lot more to that list.
There's no question.
Even
no
the
question.
big name dudes were probably pretty dang good, you can imagine. So
Right.
let's get into it. Let's figure out more about our guest, Ryan. Let's get with this Pick Six segment.
Here we go. The Pick Six segment is powered by Story Rivals. Sports, media, championships, friendships, and life lessons are among the most meaningful parts of the athletic competition. They are passionate about preserving them by offering the most unique highlight experience available.
Ryan, it's Story Rivals Sports Media, period. That's 2 weeks in a row you can't read. I don't know why we let you do ad reads. And I
So
don't
that
know
creatine.
why, I don't know why did Coach put you on the 40s?
I get too juiced up. It's hard to read, dude. I teach math. I teach special ed math. It's either it's equal signs, it's X equals this. You know what I mean? It's easy.
Oh, my Lord. And Story Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Story Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact them by email at info@storyrivals.com to schedule an appointment with a member of their team.
First question, you don't know what we're going to ask you here. You have no clue. You didn't get to see these ones. But you've been around a lot of football. You got to be around a lot of great guys. Who would you say is the most unique coach that you've got to be around personality-wise?
Shoot. First guy jumped into my mind is Jim Reed. He is still coaching. I want to say he's 75. He was my college coach, recruited me to UMass. He was defense coordinator at Virginia. He's coached in the NFL. He's got a laundry list of guys that played for him that are coaching at the big leagues. And he's now at UMass. He's off the field, but I coached D-line with him my last season at UMass. And talk about high energy and a care for human beings and seeing young people develop. He was definitely the most unique and one of a kind. And he's actually said to me that he hopes to be buried on a football field someday. I don't know if I can relate with that, but that kind of just sums him up in what he's about. And there'd be 1,000 men that would stand behind him to run through any wall. So, yeah, I'd say Jim Reed right now is the first guy that popped in my head.
I love it. Coach, my first question, we're going to go in hot. You've been a high school coach, college coach. You're now more in the evaluating and recruiting side. If just briefly, what are your thoughts on some of these pop-up random paid recruiting services that you see kids getting more into now where not a great reputation necessarily, but what are your thoughts on some of these things that just pop up across the state?
I can tell you, I think anytime you're paying somebody money, I think it's a ripoff. I think a lot of those things market themselves that they'll share it with colleges and so on and so forth. And I can tell you from sitting in the recruiting coordinator seat in the ACC schools, 2 of them, and I didn't get any of those reports. And I tell kids all the time, if you could pay me to say something nice about you, and I get trainers all the time saying, hey, these guys are this, that, and the other, but how much are they getting paid to say that? I have a really hard time with taking the advice of like third parties that don't have a true skin in the game. Now, I'm pretty biased in that side of it from a coaching standpoint and been burned in certain situations, but I got a lot of respect for high school coaches. And I think that's the first stop for every college coach in my mind. You get a true character assessment. I think guys will tell you the truth because they want you to come back to their school, and they want their programs to be represented the right way, and the right ones do it that way. So I think those pop-ups, fly by night, hey, pay $50 to come to this camp and we'll send your stuff over somewhere else. Then I haven't seen one yet that does a good job at it, to be completely honest with you. So
I love it. Go Stout.
I'm trying not to laugh. Just
Donnie hates them. Donnie hates the recruiting services more than anybody in this world.
And everybody knows the specific one you're have in your mind when you ask this question, and viewers who would probably have it in mind as they're listening to it right now. So it's just entertaining. But
love it.
I'm excited to ask this question, Coach. I asked this before I wrote this down before we had to talk about all the talent you just thrown out. But I put down, who's a player you saw in person that you were just blown away by or just in awe of? It could have been at a camp. It could have been at your experiences as a coach. Who's one guy you watched him and you just were like, holy cow, that guy's a guy?
God, oh, man, there's a lot of them. I think as a coach, going back into – so Todd Gurley was a running back at Tarboro High School, And
I remember Todd Gurley.
hell of a player, went to Georgia. Saw him run the high hurdles, and don't quote me on the time, but I know it was like 14-1, 14 flat, 14-2 in that caliber. I saw it, and he started in like from a stand-up and just took off. And the team I was coaching in North Carolina, we lost in the round right before the state semis to play them in 1 year in the playoffs. And seeing them on film and seeing him, that's one name that definitely jumps out. A kid this year that jumps off the charts to me is a kid, Derek Cooper, is a running back down at Shamadai Madonna down in the Fort Lauderdale area. Talk about special, big, 6'1", 220, ran sub 4.4, and was like, Coach, I can go faster, and just kept running the 40 because he just wanted to, and he's competitive, and he's mature, and he communicates great. And that from that kid this year, and then Todd kind of jumps into my mind, both of them big time, just big, thick, physical running backs.
Monsters.
Imagine scheming that up.
Yeah.
Good luck, boys. Push him to the sideline.
Right.
Who's tackling him? Like,
Right.
I have once he gets past that first or second level, like, I don't have a safety that's going to put his nose in there. Like,
That's right.
it's over.
A lot of business decisions being made for sure.
Oh, plenty. And that was way before the NIL era. That was just straight real business decisions on the bottom.
No doubt. No doubt.
Coach, for you travel around a ton with the Under Armour Camp series and everything. What's the number one spot that you've been to for food?
Oh, wow. We pride ourselves now. Me and another coach do a really good job of finding off the beaten path ones. We found a really good place in New Orleans that had some roasted oysters. It's like they look like a Parmesan cream sauce on them, but a lot of them will cook it on gas, so they'll taste like gas. We found a place that did it on charcoal. I got it written down somewhere. I don't have it off the top of my head, but it was fantastic.
In New Orleans. There we go. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I like that.
We wash it down with a few hand grenades afterwards, too.
Coach,
Where was the spot in Ohio, though? You found a little spot then. Did you find
Well, we went to Nate gave us the chicken place over there. What was it called?
Roosters.
There were 7,000 people in there.
700,000. I hate Hillerich, dude. You should have asked me, Coach.
Hey,
That's
Nate,
terrible.
if you're listening to this, that's terrible. This guy talked about wanting to find off the beaten path, experience the place, and he sends him to Roosters.
Yeah, I went to Roosters.
Nate, you're terrible.
What a horrible host. Hey, I got you next year, Coach. When
Got
you
it.
guys
All right,
don't
good
know, I got you next year.
I look
That's
forward
terrible.
to it.
Coach, my second question, I'm going to stick on food. So if you had to eat fast food for a year straight, for every meal for 1 year, but you could only pick one place, what's that place you're picking? Fast food.
Fast food. One place. Probably In-N-Out Burger. That'd be the one. Yeah.
I was going to say, this guy, he's making that big money when he went over to UNC. He hasn't ate fast food in a minute. He's like, fast food?
No, not at all.
Hey, boys.
I was telling Ryan, we have a guy that does our warm-up and our DB stuff. And freaking nature athlete. And he brings a ton of energy. Like, he coaches his tail off the whole camp. Long story short, he gets dropped off at McDonald's after every camp. And I kid you not, he'll anywhere from 20 to 40 McNuggets, 2 or 3 Big Macs, couple cheeseburgers every day. He lives on McDonald's. And then you look at his Instagram and he's doing like crunches and reps of 185, and he's a freak of nature. Yeah, I don't have it like that. If I ate fast food,
how old is
I'd be dead in the year.
I'm going to send it to Kyle and Donnie, this guy. His name's Donald Cox. How old is he?
He's in his early 50s.
Early
Great
50s.
genetics. Jesus.
Freak of nature, Kyle. He's just shredded. Does incline 225 for 15 reps. It's crazy work.
Scout, you're about in your early 50s. Why aren't you
Boys,
doing
I could eat the nuggets. I could eat all those Big Macs, but the next day at work, I ain't going to be in the classroom very much. I can tell you that much. All right, Coach, last question for me. I'm a dark soul, and I want to know what your pet peeves are. What gets you going?
Oh, wow.
Ryan told me the story about the cleats, so I knew this man would have some pet peeves. I knew that would be something.
I think it's when people don't live up to their potential, don't see their potential, when they pass or half step a little bit with the ability that they've been given to. So that's frustrating for me. That kind of gets the hair on the back of my neck going up. And that would be the biggest thing that gets me going on camps. Kids that are so talented and are so focused on things that they have no control over. And they're worried about social media and stars and ambiguous offers and things like that, instead of just the process of being a really good player and a really good person. So I think that kind of gets me. Kids that get a little sideways, that kind of gets the hair on the back of my neck up a little bit.
That's good. It's going to work out how it's supposed to work out. Don and I just had a conversation with who we think is going to be a pretty good tight end. But first thing out of his mouth was like, I just got to get some offers. I'm like, calm down, bud. You're doing everything the right way. You're doing a great job. Tried to relate. We have a tackle now who's up to 21 offers, and it keeps going up. But he didn't get any until the end of his junior year, after his junior year, and then into the offseason. And there was kids getting offers. We're looking at the tape. We're like, our kid's better or equal.
Sure.
So we just tried to tell him, like, man, you're doing everything the right way. Just don't focus. Don't let that be what guides how you feel about yourself or your future. Like, it's going to work out for you. And
That's right. That's right.
I think that's a good thing. But, Coach, I'm excited to get in this main topic here. Let's get to know more about Coach, about the UC report, and then let's find out about some of that top talent from the Under Armour camp. Here we go.
Let's do it.
All right, the main topic of today's show is powered by First Down Playbook. First Down Playbook is the nation's leading playbook and play design software. With over 35,000 professionally drawn, editable team plays with notes and full playbooks to start from, you'll be on your way to getting an edge over the competition. First Down Playbook will be your entire team management system with practice schedules, scripts, custom quarterback wristbands, and more. And if you use the code HEADSETS25 or mention the show, you get 15% off what's already the most affordable option in today's game. It's all over our social media. It's in the show link notes. If you got questions, reach out to us about it. There's still time if you're looking for something different for your upcoming season for your team and your program. Coach, you talked a little bit about the UC report. What I'm curious, give us a little background on how that started, maybe from a little bit of history before you were there, what its role is, what the function of it all is. I think that's one piece that I'm really curious about.
Yeah, so it started, give or take, 10 years ago. Al Luganbill, Tom Luganbill, his father is an NFL guy. It's lead scout for a lot of places. And Craig Halbert's the lead ESPN scout and does some ESPN college football games. And Billy Tucker. And Billy's the lead on it, the president of it right now. And Billy was a teammate of mine at UMass. And it started basically as an idea of how they could put together verified data and verified contact information and find out what makes like certain things that kids like, what his favorite hobbies are and what his parents went to school. And just like a little bit more in depth in regards to the questionnaire process that a lot of colleges offer, as well as I do. If I'm at Boston College and I send a questionnaire to a kid, the kids that are filling out are usually not the ones that you're gonna recruit, right? So they were getting good information from that side of it. And then it was also the verified side of it, starting to film camps and going to the camps and filming the kids doing drills, just like the combines or the showcases that you guys had this week in Columbus, and putting that on tape. And then we talked a little bit about who would fund it. Basically, the colleges do. And I was one of his first clients one of the UC Report's first clients when I was at UNC. And more schools came on. We've got all the Power 4 schools now. We've got a bunch of FCS and G5 schools that subscribe to our service. So we don't charge the kids anything. We do high school combines. We had a big one in Columbus, and we charge less than $100 just to cover our costs and things like that. So that's the only cost the kid gets out of it, and he's getting into our service. So at the same time, he's in, like I tell the kids before they start the camp, you're literally, if your mind's on right and you're ready to go, you're really at a college football camp in front of 130 some odd coaches. So that's a UC report in a nutshell. We do the ESPN 300. We run the Under Armour All-American game, obviously, and then junior college top 50 kids in the country. So we have an ESPN link as well.
Coach, you brought up an interesting point about the video stuff. You know,
Right.
I've done Elite 11 where it's all that's recorded and stuff, and just how the lengths they go to get as many people in there to record and staying out of the way. But I guess I never really thought about to now, how prevalent is that, or how much are college coaches relying on that? Is that something that they're pulling up and watching? Is it just like a double take if they think they like a guy? Like, you've been in the role of a director of football recruiting and a college coach. Like, how much is that being used? I didn't think about it in the time frame while I was at those camps.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's a great question. I think the personnel staffs use it a ton. There's coaches all over the country that use it as well. But I think there's two different camps. Coaches sometimes fall in love to the area or the position kid that they're recruiting. And sometimes a kid may slip or not look as great as he would normally if you've seen him on tape or in a workout at his high school or something like that. So a position coach gets a little bit more emotionally tied to a kid potentially when he's looking at it, whereas the personnel departments are from across the country. They can get a really good idea of what the measurables are, what the kid's variables are in regards to how fast he is and what he looks like in certain drills. Is he a hand catcher? Is he a body catcher? Is he using his hands as a defensive lineman? All that kind of stuff you can see on our tapes. So I think, and it's funny, I can look at who logs in every morning on our site in the back end, and it's the who's who. The teams that win are the staffs, and there's multiple of them on that staff that are logging in religiously every morning because our site populates pretty regularly with new kids and things like that. It's not hard to tell who's winning in college football when you see who's logging in.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That is super interesting. And it's great for those coaches because that's one central area that they can go find those things. And I was talking to a couple of them at the camp, and some of them mentioned that but I brought that up to them. It's just like, hey, what do you guys use? Do you guys use these handlers? Because that's what they call them now, like the recruiting people or services. They'll call them like their handlers,
right?
And like the one coach, it was Pitt's coach. And he was on our podcast, Coach Manilag. He was like, no. He was like, we'll use the UC report because they do official real stuff. But
right.
Other than that, we're not going nowhere.
It's great too because it's a search engine basically. It's a website, and it's like the Google of college recruiting, if you will, where you could go in and put in certain parameters. Hey, show me kids that are this height, this speed, this track. We have verified track. We have a contract with Mile Split, so kid doesn't have to come to our camp. But if you got a kid that's running, I want to find every DB in these 5 states that's over 6 feet that run 10-9 plus or whatever, and you can just find, oh shoot, I didn't know about this kid. Oh my God, he's got one MAC offer, he's got an FCS offer or whatever, and you can start to develop a relationship. We found a kid, our recruiting staff did a great job at Boston College. They found a kid, it was a Montana kid that had great measurables, that was fast, and was a jack of all trades, and he's one of the better wideouts in the ACC right now. Last year was his redshirt freshman year. But it's just guys that grind from the personnel side of it. And as a personnel guy, you want to create value in your building because there's a ton of future head coaches potentially walking around or future coordinators walking around your building. So if you create value and you do something that brings a kid to the table that inevitably comes to that school that makes that coach look good or that unit look good, then shoot, that guy gets a job. There's a good chance that you might be going with him. So that's a UC report, a tool in that category to help those young guys that are grinding on the tape because college coaches have so much other stuff they got to deal with as far as scheming, make sure the kids are doing the right things and keeping their kids in the building and not going to the next school down the street.
Absolutely. Coach, you guys were just in Central Ohio. Who were the top 5 guys that you got to see in Central Ohio? Were you able to narrow it down to 5 guys in Ohio?
Man, I got a couple pages worth of stuff right here. I was walking through the film again today, and I tell you, from the skill side, since I was a DB, I'm going to start with the skill side of it first. I really love the kid, the Jameer Averett Brown kid, the 27 that's committed to Ohio State, the wideout.
Yeah.
I tell you, he was so impressive in regards to how quickly and under control he was and out of his breaks. Could accelerate really quickly, was strong, was mature, communicated great in regards to what he wanted to do during the day. And I think my 1B from a wideout standpoint was Jerquaden Guilford, kid out of Indiana from Northrop High School. He was a great example. Kid has a little bit, he's got some traffic going on, but he focused on just every single rep, making it his best rep from drill work, from testing, from the one-on-one standpoint. Wasn't talking a ton of junk, was just going 100 miles an hour. So those 2 guys jumped off at the wideout spot.
That Jameer kid was legit. That kid, he goes to Wayne. Kyle, I don't know if you know him, Donnie, but he goes to Wayne, and he's committed to Ohio State. What was his? Did you have his 40 time still like with you, Coach?
Yeah, he was a 4.58.
Yeah, he was flying with those. Oh my goodness!
And he's a kid that's easy going to be like, he weighed 168 pounds, 5'11" and some change. He's going to be, you can see he's going to be 195 pounds in a blank, just strong, really impressive. Had a 10-foot broad jump, like really explosive kid. From a defensive side of it, I really was fired up about a couple guys. The one kid that jumped off was a surprising guy. I think he didn't have a ton of offers. I always talk to kids, talked about recruiting. I always ask a kid, somebody that performs well, I'll pull them aside and I say, hey, who's recruiting you? And it's funny because you get a lot of answers. Sometimes a kid will say, oh, I got 14 offers, coach. I got 22 offers. I said, no, who's recruiting you? Who are you talking to regularly? And then that giant offer list gets shaved down to, maybe it's not offending any schools, but it's not like the blue collars that the kid maybe named early on, you know, from that side of it. So this kid had a couple of MAC offers, really, and his name's Rael Kelly, and he's a kid from Winton Woods, safety. He's 6'3.5", 180. They ran a 4.49, jumped like 10.2. And what I liked, I matched him up at the end of one-on-ones with Jameer, and both of those guys are just competing in a really authentic way, not about pushing them down late, talking crap, and just competing. And one would get a rep and give the other one a high five. Or when I know they probably didn't even know each other. I don't know if they do or not, but I thought he really competed well. And for a kid that had he was out there to prove a point. So I was really impressed with him and his ability. But I tell you, there's a couple backers too that was really fired up back. Let me find my notes here. The RJ Sana kid. Where the heck did it go? There it goes. The Chris Sana. I'm sorry. Chris Sana. The kid from Olegani.
Olentangy. Yep.
Olentangy.
Yep.
I remember like Keith Jackson. Every time I hear say that word, like Keith Jackson back in the day, saying from the Olentangy.
He's the Ohio State commit, isn't he?
Yep.
He is, yeah. Linebacker, another kid that ran great for a big kid because he weighed in at 6. He was 6'2 and a quarter. He was 221, ran 4.75. And then I asked him, I said, well, how much did you play at last year? He said, Coach, I played about 230. And I said, why'd you lose weight? He said, I'm running track. I said, what are you doing track? He's like doing the disc over 200 and some change. He's throwing the shot like 60 plus. Like the kid's a freakish athlete. And when you talk to him, it's like you're talking to a 24, 25-year-old guy. So super mature kid from that side of it. And then the kid that I really liked from the other side, from a linebacker standpoint, was my guy here, Sincere Johnson. And he's funny. He was signed up as a DM, but he came in. He's a thick, strong, 6'3", 240. He ran 4.79. Just a really mature, competitive kid. And you always can tell when you walk into these camps, there's 10 to 15 kids that, in my opinion, get it. They're there to compete. They're focused on their reps. They're focused on they're not focused on a lot of things. They're just fluff, in my opinion. They're focused on ball. And he was one of those guys. But one of my favorite guys at the camp, and I could probably talk all night about kids because I really dive into it. This kid, D'Angelo White. He's from Villa Angelia. It's Cleveland kid, right?
Yep, that Villa St. Andrews or something.
St. Joseph. Villa Angela St. Joseph.
Yep, Villa Angela St. Joseph up in Cleveland. Was that the tight end?
D'Angelo White, yeah, 6'5 and a half, 248, ran 4.68, had a 9-foot broad, but ran with wide receiver body control. And it's funny because I was messing with him and saying, man, you cannot catch. You've got to be a defensive lineman. And for the first for the first hour of camp.
Not everything.
And he was really good. He was comfortable catching the football. And again, in one-on-ones, really competitive and played the game the right way. He was honorable in how he competed against kids. And I don't want to forget about the O-line because I'm a skill guy, but there's a kid, Sam Greer from Archbishop Hoban, who I thought was fantastic. Has an edge, great balance, just a mountain of a kid and good feet. And again, humble in how he competed. So I was really excited about him too.
Coach, can you talk a little bit? I think at these camps, you correct me if I'm wrong or disagree, but I think sometimes at these camps it's harder to evaluate like the lineman side of things, O-line, D-lineman, because the skill side you can rely on how they run routes, you can rely on just seeing that pure athleticism, but it takes an eye to really see it from an O-line, D-line standpoint at these camps. How do you evaluate the most physical position in the game without having that true physical aspect?
It's a great question. I like to see the camp evolves in 3 ways. The first thing they do is the combine, then they go into individual, and then they do one-on-ones, right? So during individual, you can see really quickly between O-line and D-line who's got really good balance and body control. Does he have a strong core? How light is he on his feet? If he's a really young kid that maybe looks like a baby deer, so he's got some long arms and long legs, but he hasn't developed physically yet, but you can see some traits as far as how he moves and handles himself with his footwork. That's what triggers you to like, all right, I got 20 kids listed here. I'm circling 6 to 8 names that I feel like have Division I or Power 4, if you will, intangibles as far as that type of category, if you will. But then it gets into the one-on-one side of it. There's 2 things I look for. How many reps are you getting? And we don't line them up and say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's the survival of the fittest. And so guys will take the guys that truly love ball. They'll jump out and get as many reps as you can get. And there's some guys, and I've seen it at every one of our camps, there's some guys that stand in the back. And who knows why they do it. And I'm not there to judge them and say why they do, but they're not taking reps. So that's the first thing I look at. And then the second time, when they're taking those reps, how much strength does he have relative to his age? Because sometimes a kid's a young senior, it might be a 16-year-old or early 17-year-old that hasn't developed yet physically, or maybe just as strong as 18, 19-year-old. Shoot, when this kid's 19, 20, he's going to be a freak. You can see from hand placement, as well as I do, Coach, you'll see your O-line number on the wall. You had to have been an offensive lineman, am I right? But yeah.
68 ain't no D lineman.
You can't see the gut, but yeah, never behind.
But you can see how strong a kid is and how he competes, and is he afraid? Is he shy on contact? And those pass rush one-on-ones, those guys get after it. And it's a great thing about those camps. It's really good players against really good players. So you can see in a hurry, who belongs.
Coach, I got a question a little bit, and this doubles back just a sec. I think a lot of times when you go to those camps, a lot of the guys you mentioned are really big guys, right? They already have a ton of offers, already committed. Who's maybe somebody that maybe isn't a big name yet, maybe somebody who's not committed? Was there like a surprise of the camp? Maybe somebody that wasn't on the radar? I think a lot of those guys are on the radar. You got a non-radar guy that really stood out?
I think there's a myth out there about our camps too, is that a lot of guys, it's only the best players in the area that go there. Yeah, we do get the top kids in the region, no doubt. There's at every single one of our camps, there's kids that have no offers or have very little offers that within a week or two, based on a good performance, will blow up. And so like at this camp, there's a kid, and Ryan and I were joking with him, and the kid came over. His name's Vincent Smith. He's a kid out of Carl Sandburg High School in Illinois. He was 6'1" and 3/4, 202, and was built like a will linebacker. Big, strong. He ran like 4.48. And I remember calling him back and say, "Hey, son, what position you play?" And he said, "I play corner." And both Ryan and I were sitting there, "You're a linebacker." And he said, "No, I'm corner." I was like, "All right, that's somebody else's problem. Good luck to you." And he did a hell of a job in one-on-ones, and actually was a specimen in regards to just how he handled himself against wide receivers. He was actually playing corner. And I thought that kid was really impressive. There's a kid that Nate has over in Pinkerton North that I thought was pretty, Malachi Irvin rather. I thought he was
pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good player.
They play them. The Gahanna, their school plays Coach Illerich. Yep.
And I think that Kelly kid too that I mentioned earlier, the DB, that kid had two offers in the MAC, and I just looked at a week after our camp, he got Vanderbilt this week. Our camps get cut up into three parts. You got your high flyers, you got kids everybody knows, and then you got your kids in the middle that are fringe guys between G5, P4, and you got kids that we had a kid in LA this week, was a D lineman that had no rating and was just from out of nowhere, and he was a 6 foot, 300-pound whirling dervish. And I know that kid will blow up this week. That kind of sums it up a little bit.
Thankfully for Nate, his players are better than his restaurant picks. We're glad he had that.
Yeah. I had to give him a little bit of love. I'm with
you. We had to.
Coach, I got a question for you, Coach. What, just in general about you, like we talked all about these kids and everything, but for you, what's been your favorite role that you've had throughout your journey? That you've been on this long journey now, coached in Florida, coached WMAS, coached in Carolina, like you've been all over the place. Now you're doing this. What's just been your favorite role so far?
Man, I got to be honest, it's the one I have.
Is it?
Like in the moment, you know what I'm saying? Every time I've taken a job, and this is no exaggeration, I know it sounds cliched, it's, man, I could be here for the next 40 years. I thought that way when I got the job in North Carolina, because it was a great place to raise a family. I've got 3 kids, and I'm going to be here forever. Next thing, I'm sitting in Larry Fedora's office, and I'm working with him, and I'm coaching the safeties in the bowl game the first year. And it's one of those deals that just be where your feet are and work your tail off and keep your head down and keep going, and good stuff happens. I've never said, hey, in 5 years I'm going to be here, in 10 years I'm going to be there. I just can't. I've never been able to process that way or work that way. I love my job right now. I hope I can do it for longer and all that kind of stuff. But I think, but to be completely honest with you too, when the comparison between college football and high school football, and I talk to my buddies a lot that are still in college football and still talk to high school buddies. High school football are the best moments. We still reminisce more with those moments than we did with any college game, because when the college game's over, you're packing your car up because you know what? You got to get out of that building because you got to be back there probably by 8 o'clock in the morning. You're hoping you got a noontime kickoff so you can get a little bit of time with the family at night because you got to be back in and grade the film the next day on Sunday. And it's just constant turnover from that side of it. So that's hard. There's some rewarding points to it, obviously, and it was awesome to be a part of all that stuff. But the high school football side of it, from being a high school football coach, that was the most rewarding side of it for me.
Yeah.
You guys got like a last question? I got one more I want to ask, but before I ask it, I want to see if you guys got one. You guys got one?
Go for it, Coach Stout.
No, Coach Stout, go ahead. This better be the best question ever.
Yeah.
No, I think it's really good.
I was going to ask a little bit about the landscape of the. Were you going to ask that? Was that your next one?
But go ahead. Go
ahead.
ahead.
I was going to ask you about the recruiting landscape. Like obviously, when you were in it, to how much has changed now. If with you working with the UC report, and maybe I would say, hey, you help kids. That's your job.
Right.
Just help them get their name out there and do a great job with that. But how much has this landscape of recruiting changed since you've been in it and now to where we're at?
And I can remember cutting VHS tapes up and sending videotapes out after week 4 of a kid's senior year to try to get him offers, because that's when his recruiting would really start getting picked up. Now, obviously, it's nowhere near that now. Kids nowadays have to be so mature and emotionally strong to be able to handle the tidal wave of pressure from the social media and all the stuff that they can't control. So you got 3 buckets that you're competing. You got the high school bucket, you got the junior college bucket, and you got the portal bucket. And every one of them have their positives and their negatives. You guys obviously live in the high school bucket, and those kids do. And I think the best thing I would say to them is just keep your head down and work. Good stuff's going to happen to good people and kids that just truly focus on their success and control what they can control. You can't control what's happening on the internet. You can't control what's happening in the JUCO, the portal. I talked to a coach today. He said he's getting tired of the portal because it's, in his words, the land of misfit toys. And kids are leaving places for sometimes good reasons, sometimes bad. I can tell you from my experience on it, there's the portal hit rate. If you're hitting 2 out of 10 kids, in my opinion, at some places, if kids are going down, then did they have production? I think the biggest thing is you have to have production at wherever you're at in order to be a viable candidate to get in the portal. And you better have a place to go before you jump in, because there's over 3,000 kids in it this cycle. So it's changing. It's going to change even more if supposedly junior college players getting their eligibility not counted against them. That's going to extend the pool. And the pressure on the college side of it is so hard, because as a position coach in college, you're based on how well your room produced. And if your room produces, generally speaking, your room's going to produce better with older guys. So if you're taking an older guy instead of a high school kid, the high school kid you take better be really mature and emotionally strong enough to handle the combat of college football. And as well as I do, all you guys do, you've played at it. College football, the first year stinks, and every kid's going to get – there's that point where he hits
Terrible.
It's the worst year of my life. Dude.
That first year is it's funny you say that, Coach, because I always tell everybody as they're going to college, no matter how good they are, I say, get through your first year.
That's right.
And I don't just get through your first year, come back, and you'll be amazed at how much better you are, how much like your anxiety drops, how much it just becomes normal life again for you. But it is a massive adjustment that if you've never done it, you don't know what we're talking about.
I remember calling my mom to be dead serious, be like crying. Dude,
we all did.
I want to get out of here, Mom.
We all did. Everybody on this phone call tonight, probably their freshman year, was calling home being like, I'm done. I don't want to do this. And that's what I try. And I try to tell kids that this is how it's going to be. Press through it, get to that next year, and you're going to be amazed how much different it is.
That's right.
And now how thankful I am that my mom just hung the phone up on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That she was just
For
like,
sure.
nah, you're not coming home.
That's right.
You bring up an interesting point. So I think as high school coaches, we have kids who ask us about, what should I do, coach? A lot, even when they go to that next level. And I just had a conversation with a player, and he was talking about hopping in the portal. And I was like, buddy, you have no stats. Like, where are you going to go? You know what I mean? It was just being honest with them, because that's what these kids need, is just honesty. And I just was like, just tough it out, man. If you really are truly battling, if you're already on some personnel groups and you're battling and you might be a starter this year, like, why would you transfer? You don't have any stats to transfer to a better situation anyways.
That's right.
Like, just battle out and see it through, man. And I think it's going to work out for you. And if it doesn't, at least maybe you went one more year to see. But the same thing was like, bro, you're already at D2 and you don't have any crazy stats at D2. Like, where are you going to go off that? Like, just be where your feet are, like you said, and just dominate it. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well go crush this spring. Because I told him, it was just before spring ball, I'm like, go crush this spring, because he's worried about scholarship money. I'm like, go crush this spring. Who knows? Maybe a couple of your teammates leave. You have a great spring. Now you got more scholarship money because you had a great spring.
That's right.
And I think they need that. So you've already talked about it from a player standpoint. And so I'm not going to ask that, but I wanted to end, Coach, just asking you, like, what advice do you maybe have for coaches about navigating today's recruiting? So most of the people that listen to us are mostly coaches, right? Like, we're a coaches podcast. Like, it could be like, what could we be doing better? It could be like understanding where we're at, where things are going. Like, what's a major takeaway we could all get better from your perspective about being high school coaches and recruiting?
Yeah, I think like a couple things that pop into my mind as you asked me that is just be detail orientated. Just be really focused on anything that you allow and don't address in your program, the kids are going to find ways to possibly take advantage. You get what you allow and what you enforce and what you're about. And I think that's a big piece of it. And sometimes you get a little away from that. I think the next piece would be for me too, is be you. And I know every one of us have heard that, but I think every one of us got in this business because of one or two or three people that said, hey, you should be a coach, or something lit a fire under all of us to get into this business. And I think it's important you represent who that person is and what those lessons were when they taught you how to be a coach, or the things that you want, making you want to be a coach. Don't try to be somebody on TV and try to emulate certain things that they do, because you don't know that person. I think the last thing is, in the recruiting realm of things, is be persistent. And there's guys that are just, I'll tell you a quick story. I was at the University of North Carolina, and there's a coach, Kevin Motzinger, is a hell of a coach, and coaches a small little rural country town in the eastern part of the state called Wallace Rose Hill. And he's got a running back named Javante Williams. And so Javante comes to our camp, runs like mid 4.6s, but it's just, that was that day of 400 person camps. And there's a lot of those guys, 5'9", 5'10", 4.6 40s. So we don't go on. I'm trying to get him to walk on. Coastal Carolina's probably going to take him. And he just persistent with me. And I love the kid. And I broke down his whole senior tape and made a case to our staff and our head coach, drove the head coach out to see the kid. Long story short, we signed him. He was the first running back taken in the draft like 3 or 4 years ago. My point in saying that Kevin was persistent, and I never took it personally. Oh, shit, here's this guy's bothering me. Keeps calling me. He was advocating for what was right. He believed in his kid. And there's sometimes coaches will string you along. College coaches will string you along. Coach, I got to check with the coordinator, or I got to check with the position coach. Just be honest. It's a college coach has to be honest. Coach, he doesn't fit what we're looking for. We're only taking two at the position, whatever, and move on. But as a high school coach, I think it's important to be persistent until you get a genuine, honest answer from that school, and then you move on to the next spot, in my opinion.
Coach, I appreciate you talking about honesty. I had a situation in the past where I had a school that was calling me nonstop about a kid. It's like Friday night, 10:30 p.m. I'm getting called. I finally got to the point. I'm like, are you going to offer this kid or not?
Right.
Do you want him or do you not want him? Stop calling me, ask him about him, everything like that. You brought up a really good point earlier in the episode, and it's just that relationships, trust, and honesty, and how that could be just a great point for recruiting, and everybody's going to benefit from it if
That's
you're just
right.
honest with each other. So
100%.
Hopefully some of those college coaches could have heard that too, though. Hopefully maybe a few of them hear that.
We've had some situations.
We've had a few. Hopefully they hear. Because we've had it too with Taywon, right? Like just recently with the combine yesterday, he received a couple offers yesterday. He got one from Bowling Green and stuff. So then some of the other schools that came were like, "Oh, we got to see him May 5th." He had the best workout I've ever seen our kid have. He's a 6'3" corner, great kid, and has a 3.6 GPA. And then the one school, I'm like, "Are you gonna offer him, or what are we gonna do?" And he's, "I got to call the head coach or the DC." I'm like, "You said if you come and he has a great workout, you're gonna offer him." Right after the camp did, and they finally offered him, and he was like, "Yeah, you're right." And I was like, "Okay, thank you." So that, I think it's just a unique world. But Coach, I appreciate you taking time. I know these two guys also, we greatly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule. I know you're just traveling all over the place, running the camp series. I'm going to be flying down to Mexico City soon, you were telling me about, right?
Yeah, next week. Football. That's exactly right. That's right. Yeah, camp down there. My son graduates from University of North Carolina this weekend, so I get a little bit of a break.
There we go. Congratulations, Coach.
I appreciate it. Yeah. Proud man.
That's great right there. But no, we appreciate you coming on. Listeners, make sure you download, subscribe. Make sure you guys also, coaches, follow Coach Tudryn on Twitter. It's at Coach TUCR, right? The UC report there. Make sure you follow him. He posts great stuff. They always have updates with kids. They're always updating their website too. I think it's great just seeing all the kids on your stuff and being able to follow that recruiting. But thank you again, Coach. Please also, people, download, subscribe, and contact all our sponsors. We appreciate you,
man. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Coach.